I invite any of our viewers, if they have any cultural heritage that you know is hidden in some dark alley, that you are a safekeeper of that knowledge, you're welcome to bring it out on this channel. That's right, I said if you guys have any knowledge about your history that you want to share, then this channel is open for you to publish your stuff on. And I've got my wish. I've gotten what I asked for, because these documents, they come from the early 1900s. Before we begin the audiobook, I want to acknowledge the original work, the spirit of the time, the risk, the limits, and the courage behind them. These words were first inked in a time when speaking them risked exile for the author. Their content reaches us now through a different wind, in a different language, but still the image holds, even after translating it to English. Eijck van Heslinga undertook the formidable task of reconstructing a world long lost, a world that began at least 1,000 years before its own. With scarce resources and the weight of his position within the Church, he pieced together a picture of the transformation of a pagan past as comprehensively and respectfully as he could manage. And in providing context of the modern discoveries and comparative mythology, I am not trying to adjust his work, but rather to enrich it. This is no mere reading of the original text. It's an attempt to make it holographic, not just preserving facts, but animating their meaning, to remember us that history is not fixed, but in a constant spiral of becoming, because symbols evolved through their retelling. This is the place where the old gods and their stories breathe again, through us. For the scholars among us who want to do a deeper dive, the original work will be graciously hosted by the Oeralinda Wiki, where all of the original sources that Van Heslinga used can also be found. The link will be shared in the description. Without any further ado, let's continue into this modern retelling of the Frisian Church by Eijck van Heslinga. Chapter 1. The Prehistory. Paragraph 1. The Gods of the Germanic People. According to accounts from the earliest times, Friesland was inhabited by the Cimbri and the Teutons, and the actual Frisians are considered their successors. Whatever one may think about their descent and origin, it is certain that they belong to the Germanic race. This fact provides an important clue for anyone trying to understand the nature of the Frisian pagan religion before the arrival of Christianity. The records on this topic are both rare and scattered. However, those who pay attention to what is known about old Germanic religion, and who, guided by ethnic kinship, compare it with what is known about the Frisians, will find ample reason to draw conclusions about the part from the whole. We know that the ancient Germanic peoples held the following beliefs about the gods, the creation of the world, humanity, the relationship between good and evil, and more. Wodan, or Odin, was the chief god, the all-pervading life force, the All-Father with rules over everything. Along with Vili, will, and Ve, sacred, he creates the world. Wodan's wife was Freya. Just as Wodan reigned over the winds, clouds, and war, Freya, too, was a goddess of war, as well as of love and death. When she rode her chariot across the fields, they became fertile. She also served drinks in Valhalla, where the heroes who died in battle were gathered. Among the Aesir, one of the two kinds of gods, who lived in Idavol, at the center of their stronghold Asgard, were also Hrungnir, Wodan's brother, and Wodan's sons, Thor, Baldur, and Tju, also known as Tyr or Tuisko. Thor was the god of thunder, armed with a hammer. He protected the earth and its growth, especially along the coastlines. Tyr was the god of war, particularly responsible for unjust wars. Baldur was the noblest of the Aesir. He ruled over Breidablik, where nothing impure was tolerated. His judgments, as a judge, were always just. Also, living among the Aesir was Loki, the spirit of darkness, always scheming against them. He was the son of a giant, and his evil nature came from his father. Loki was accepted into Idavol when the gods began mingling with the giants. He represented the element of fire, just as his brothers Kari and Aegir represented air and water, respectively. Loki was the spirit of destruction, and his tool for causing harm was shining gold. From his lineage came Narvi, father of night and protector of crimes, and his daughter Not, who was dark and black as the night. She married the cold, loveless spirit Naglfari, and together they had Other, which stands for wealth. From Loki's union to the giantess Angerboda, which means the bringer of fear, came the Midgard serpent, the wolf Vendirir, and Hel, who ruled over the underworld and bound the death in change. The second group of gods were the Vanir, who lived in Vanaheim. They were peaceful and brought blessings to humankind. One of them was Njord, who loved being in autumn, Shiptown, for he ruled the winds and storms under Wodan's supreme authority. As a sea god, he claimed the oceans when sailors called upon him. His sister, who was also the sister of Freya, was Nertus, the goddess of Mother Earth. She lived on an island in the ocean, and when she visited the mainland, peace and tranquility followed. Freyr, their father, was the god of peace, bestowing prosperity, protecting agriculture, and wielding the plow instead of the sword. He also supported seafaring for the good of the people. Before Freya became Wodan's wife, she was married to Freyr. The gods were in constant struggle with the giants who lived in Jotunheim and represented the wild, untamed forces of nature. Their origin came from Ymir, which means the roaring one, whose peculiar birth was tied to the creation of the world. There once was a vast void called Ginnungagap between the two poles, Muspel, which is fire in the south, the world of heat and light, and Nifl, mist, in the north, the world of cold and darkness. When ice from the north melted in the southern warmth, life emerged in the form of Ymir, a colossal being made from raw matter. While sleeping, Ymir sweated a man and woman from his left arm, and from his feet rubbing together, a son was born, ancestor of the race of giants. Another being, the cow Autumla, which means rich in milk, also came forth from the melting ice. She nourished Ymir with her milk and licked salty stones, from which came Buri, the first man, whose son Bor fathered the gods, Wodan, Vili, and Ve. These gods killed Ymir. So much blood flowed from his wounds that all the other giants drowned, except one, Forniad, the old giant, and his wife, who escaped in a boat. Forniad became the ancestor of Loki and the new races of fire, frost, mountain, and storm giants. From Ymir's body, the gods created the world. From his blood, the seas and the waters. From his flesh, the earth. From his bones, the mountains. From his hair, the trees. From his teeth and broken bones, the rocks and the cliffs. From his skull, the heavens. Sparks from Muspelheim became the sun, moon, and stars, creating day and night. The earth was round and surrounded by a deep sea. The coasts were given to the giants inland. The sons of Bor built a stronghold to protect themselves from the giants, using Ymir's eyebrows. They called it Midgard. His brain became the clouds. Thus were heaven and earth created, but also the eternal struggle between gods and the giants. At first, the gods did not know evil. They lived in Idavol, played with gold, but knew no greed. This changed when 3 rich giantesses came to Idravol, leading to unions between gods and giants. Though this, the gods learned desire and greed, and Loki joined their ranks. To satisfy their lust for gold, the gods created dwarfs, beings who lived underground and mined gold and precious metals. After the dwarfs came creation of humans, shaped from 2 trees, an ash and an elm. Wodan and his brother Honir gave them intellect and soul. Loki gave them warmth and sensuality. Original humans were meant to fight alongside the gods against the giants, but through Loki's gifts, that battle became an inner struggle as well. The Germanic view of life showed that they had deep-rooted concepts of sin and guilt, justice and punishment, and belief in an afterlife. Life was symbolized by the world tree, Yggdrasil, whose branches spread over the world and reach into heaven. 3 roots hold the tree firm. One root lies near the well of the Norns, who control human fate. Urda, the eldest, is there, because the gods are no longer innocent. They are subject to fate and must come daily to Urda's well for judgment. Justice is essential to the world's survival. Every day, the branches of the tree are sprinkled with water from this well to keep them fresh. The dripping water is the dew that brings new life. Another root lies by the well of the giant Mimir, who possesses wisdom and knows the future. Wodan and the others try in vain to access this knowledge, for they have fallen to evil. At the end of time, the horn from which Mimir drinks will be blown by Heimdall, the god's watchman, and the world tree will burn. From the 3rd root springs the rivers of the underworld, which the wicked must wade through. These are filled with venomous snakes and poison. At this root gnaws Nidhugr, the dragon of vengeance. At the top tree, which shadows Odin's hall Valhalla, a goat named Heidrun feeds. From his udders flows the divine mead that Freya gives the heroes to drink. These heroes are brought to Valhalla by the Valkyries, where they continue fighting to prepare for the final battle against the giants. For that battle will come. By Wodan's command, Fenrir the wolf was cast into the sea that surround all lands. She licks the earth to disturb it, and Thor fights her constantly. Hel was banished to Niflheim, where she rules the dead. But the time will come when forces of chaos will devour the sun and the moon, and the stars will fall from the sky. Loki and his offspring will reveal their full strength. The Midgard serpent, which stands for the raging sea, will break all barriers. Storms will rage wildly. The frost giants will come from the north, fire spirits from the south, and the armies of hell will join them. Then the gods will fight their final battle on the plain of Vigrid, and though they defeat the giants, they will also perish. The world will be consumed by fire. Yet, from the ashes, a new race of gods and a new world will arise, where evil is gone and good reigns. This is, in broad strokes, the Germanic belief in the gods, as told by the Edda poems. As with all pagan religions, faint memories of truth from humanity's childhood remains, but the whole is a fusion of wondrous fantasies, inspired by the worship of nature's forces, yet still standing, in essence, higher than many other ancient beliefs. We have here given a general overview, and we have not spoken of the many other beings the old Germans imagined in forest and fields, seas and lakes, beings whom the people believed themselves closely connected. The question now is, if the Frisians were part of the Germanic race, did they share this Germanic religion? And if not entirely, to what extent? Though the available sources do not offer a complete picture, they provide enough for us to form a reasonably satisfying answer. Modern historians doubt whether the Cimbri and the Teutons were strictly Germanic. Their names, their culture, and their migration patterns reveal Celtic traits as well. What we now speak of are mixed groups, without fixed ethnic boundaries, rather than clearly defined Germanic tribes. Frisians did not belong to the Germanic race in the sense of descending from it. According to the Audiobook, it may well be the other way around. The rites described by Roman observers in the 1st century may hold fragments of truth, but they reflect a time centuries after the downfall of the Frisian civilization. Cultures had mingled, the borders of belief blurred. It would not be unlike the Spanish perception of the Maya and the Aztec. To the untrained eye, the difference between the two could seem negligible, but the Maya were the remnants of a once great civilization, and the Aztec, those who overtook it. To the conqueror, all looked like savages. It is not unlikely the Romans held a similar view of the Frisians and the Germanic people alike. Belief systems do not emerge in isolation, especially not after collapse. Pagan cultures interwove. Cross-pollination took place in every direction where formal structures had broken down. Northern gods arrived with Viking invasions, along with their visions of an afterlife. In the same way, later religions like Christianity and Islam seated themselves far from the place of origin. When layering Eijck van Heslinga's reconstruction onto the foundation of the Oudallinda echoes begin to rise. A memory of a sea folk, deities of storm and thunder, of the ocean, of an earthbound mother goddess, but the echoes feel twisted. The sacred feminine, once central, is displaced, rewritten under patriarchal rule. Nertus got a male duplicate in Njord, similar as how Freya got one in Freyr. Consider the myth. Freya, once a sovereign goddess of freedom, is married to Freyr, who is said to be her father, before being bound later again to Odin. This is no divine romance. It marks a double submission. First her essence divided, her freedom handed to a masculine form, then later her body offered to a foreign deity, no longer queen, but cupbearer, serving the dead in a hall of warriors. Patterns repeat across continents, across time. It is not strange that a sacred duality of poles, of fire and mist, lie at the heart of this origin story, as is yin and yang at the heart of the Eastern beliefs. And so we see fragments of older cosmologies come through. Stories of giants who came forth when the ice world was melted from below. Which came first, the giants or the ice age? Or is it the same story told through another veil? A great flood, the cleansing of abominations, echoed even in the Bible. These pagans may have believed the world was shaped by giants, but they knew the earth was round. That much is certain. Other layers rise. Myths of gods who made dwarfs to dig for gold. That story has ancient siblings. In Mesopotamia, humans were made to relieve the gods of labor. In Greek myth, Prometheus gives fire to clay-formed man, punished by Zeus with toil. In Mesoamerica, a people of corn replaced failed creations of mud and wood, not because they were stronger, but because they could work and give praise. And it is in that repetition of story that memory hides. There is no doubt that Van Eijck van Heslinga recognized the echoes between the ancient flood of the giants and the story of Noah. He would have known the words in Genesis. There were giants in the earth in those days. And perhaps he saw the parallel between the cataclysmic battle of the gods and the giants in Germanic myth ending in the rebirth of the world, and the apocalyptic vision in Revelation, where a sacred war in heaven ushers the return of Christ and a new age. What remains clear is his devotion. A man against the grain of his time labored not to let a native worldview vanish. That dedication still rings true 115 years after he put pen to paper. His work is another link in the long chain of memory. This book did not survive by accident. And now, as this voice experiments with a new form, there is only the wish that it does the work justice. If you enjoyed this first passage, let me know in the comments. I welcome your thoughts and your listening. Please know that your support is greatly appreciated. Our affiliate partner, Blue Earth Technologies, have just released a beautiful and affordable product on the market that makes purified drinking water affordable in any household. It removes all man-made chemicals, drug residue, and things such as chloride and fluoride from your drinking water with the Blue Health. No additional filter necessary, ever. Not only that, it encodes your water with the vibration of love and gratitude. All of that for the very affordable price of 1980 euros. Cleansing your body and the earth was never so affordable. Use the code PARADIGMSHIFT at checkout and get a 5% discount on your purchase. I assure you that you won't regret it. Please subscribe if you haven't yet already. And with that being said, we'll see you next week. Bye bye.